Sketchy Al, and Chi! Hi! So I thought it'd be fun to share how Chi and me ended up getting two kitties together. But first, I'd like to point out that my Chi has always been more of a cat person. Huh, honey?
Yeah, I've always had at least one cat, pretty much my whole life. I had Mabel, who was a black and white cat, and her kitten, Guapo, who was a big fluffy kind of ragdoll cat who was super smart. We never had the money to really get her spayed, so she ended up having a second litter of cats, which we kept two of, and we named those Indian Rolly, which were both white cats with black spots, where one of them was long-haired and the other one was pretty short-haired. Indy was really sweet, even though he was a big chubby kitty. I had an orange cat named Hoover when I was really young, and Hoover was a really cuddly cat.
Aww. Yeah, you love the super cuddly type cats, don't you?
Yeah, I just want to hug every cat.
I really love all cats, but I can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat. Can't hug every cat.
Aww. Wrap them up like little burritos.
Yeah.
So, on my end, I grew up with a few kitties as well. My first one was a gray tabby named Liz. Then there was my personal favorite, Sally, a long-haired looking Siamese, known as the ragdoll type. A black cat that was awesome, to which my high school buddies in SoCal liked a lot. There were others that came and went, like Grat, a random Russian blue type cat that just chilled for 2 weeks in the SoCal home, and just left as it randomly came. Boy, was Susie really pissed when he was around. You remember Grat, don't you, honey?
Yeah, the most memorable and longest lasting of all your cats.
Yeah, it was thanks to you came up with that name.
Because it was the gray cat.
Silly. You're the best at naming cats.
Very much so.
So yeah, due to growing up with cats on both ends, we started to think about getting a kitty when we were living at a house. But how we ended up getting our first cat together is a bit of a story from Chi's end. Take it away, hun.
So I had this job at PetSmart. Was it PetSmart or was it Petco?
It was PetSmart. You didn't work at Petco.
Okay, I wasn't sure. It was a very forgettable job.
Right.
And on one of my night shifts, where I was working as one of the cashiers, this guy comes in the door holding this tiny, tiny little fluff ball of a kitten and just hands it to me going, "Here, take this. I'm allergic to cats. I found it in the parking lot. Get it away from me." So I'm standing there trying to ring up the stuff people are buying and holding this cat on my shoulder the whole time, using one hand to ring up things and put them into bags while it's crawling all over my shoulder, just being a little tiny fluff ball.
Oh.
And I finally get one of the dog groomers to take this cat away and put it into the kennel area where they would keep the dogs that needed to be groomed or had already been groomed. And we'd been thinking about getting a cat, and here somebody just hands one to me randomly. So I decide, maybe I should call Alicia and go ahead and keep this one. Because the other employees were trying to decide what to do with it, whether to take it over to the animal shelter, who could adopt it, things like that. And we decided to take this tiny little kitten home, and it wandered around our house in such a cute way.
I got video of that. Hi. Hi, cutie.
That's the beta.
You're so curious.
Hey, I found it to watch.
Yes.
What is it? I don't seriously.
It's actually an extremely antique book.
Hey. Nope.
It appears.
No. You have a lot of house to explore, don't you, Kitty?
You are seriously a stubby cat. I don't know why, but this cat just seems ridiculously compact.
Submit it.
I found it.
Yeah, he knows exactly what to do. Or she.
She already knows?
We thought it was a she.
He, she.
It's
Is it in the shower yet?
almost. Spider! Introduce it to the spider. Oh, or not.
Ooh, what's that, kitty?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Cat's like, oh my god, what is it? It's like, dude, it's really fast and it's funny. I gotta chase it. I don't know how to use these things.
It's pretty simple.
It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
It's coming after me.
It's like, oh god.
Cover.
Put it away.
Fuck. This thing reminds me of the thing from the labyrinth.
It's right. Whoops. Adios,
Wait.
gato. Yeah, as you can see, that was the very first night that Kitty came home. Anyways, so it took me about a week to come up with a name, maybe 2, but for some random reason, I knew it had to start with the letter M. Then one day, it finally clicked. Magpie. Same color and somewhat pattern with the omnivorous bird. Good thing that name was of a neutral nature, because it turns out that kitten we thought was a girl grew up to be a boy. So after a few weeks passed by, I came to realize having 2 cats together is better than 1. They can play and keep each other company.
And since I happened to work at a store that consistently had cats up for adoption, I decided to see which ones we had. And one night I go over there to look after my shift is over. I notice there's a gray tabby kitten in there amongst all the other ones, and I'm going, ooh, we should get the gray tabby. I've never had a gray tabby in my entire life amongst all the various cats I've had. Perfect. And so I took a picture of the gray kitten going, ooh, this one's perfect. Look, let's get this gray one. It's awesome.
And in the picture, I saw an orange one as well. And I'm like, ooh, let's get the orange one. I never had an orange kitty before.
But gray one. Never had a gray one.
But orange one. I never had an orange one. I already had a gray one.
I haven't. I've only had an orange cat.
So we ended up getting the orange cat. And because I picked it, I let Chi named it. And what'd you name it?
Well, I came up with the absolute most creative name that you could ever possibly think of when you have an orange tabby in front of you. His name is Orange Cat, also known as Osie.
Wow. So creative. Did it take you like 2 seconds to come up with that?
It was 3. Get it right.
That explains everything. Oh, lordy.
It was actually mostly because we tried to come up with other names for it, and one of us would always disagree. We'd come up with it and be like, ooh, let's name it Nacho, or let's name it Cheese, or let's name it Chip, or let's name it Orange Chip. And it just never stuck. And we're like, what should we name the orange cat?
Orange cream. No, we didn't come up with orange chip until later because that's when we finally found out he really liked orange chips like Doritos. But by then, OC just stuck.
Yep, stuck around like a big fat kitty.
But now I like calling him Tiny Tiger.
Or Orange Chungus.
Right, he got so fat in the past couple of years. Like a giant cat loaf.
He ended up being a very cuddly cat I've ever run across. He comes up and rubs against literally every single person who has ever come into the house, starts purring on them, and eventually drooling all over them. So much cat drool.
Ooh, what is it with cats drooling? That's so gross. I mean, dog drool. It's normal. It's an everyday thing. But cat drool? Ugh, disgusting.
I mean, dog drool's really gross too.
Yeah, but it's one thing when you're used to something like that. It's another when you're not to, especially with a cat. When a cat drools, they're like, ugh, where have you been? There's something wrong with you? But luckily there's nothing wrong with Osie.
He's just too loving. That's the only thing wrong with him.
Yeah, very annoying.
Yeah, he's great when you want to play a video game or watch a TV show. He gets right there perfectly in your face to where it makes it nice and easy to not see around him.
Ah, that cat.
Ah, that orange brat.
Yeah, So it wasn't until a few years later I learned from an old friend when they got two orange kitties that were not related, they ended up not getting along. Now I feel really lucky that ours do. It's great to see them like play with each other, aka cat wrestle.
Yeah, you'll see them like stare each other down from halfway across the house and then go running at each other and pounce all over each other.
Also, they lick each other. That ends up in more cat wrestling. It's just great that they have each other to play with and cuddle with each other to keep each other warm, and they still do that to this day. They're just pretty much like brothers, even though they're not related. So yeah, we got really lucky on that.
Yeah, it'll usually start out that one of them's napping and the other one comes up to groom them, and you start hearing purring, and then the grooming becomes too intense for one of them. And then they start attacking each other, and then they turn into a giant wrestling match that ends up running all over the house.
Oh, I'm so glad we got our kitties. And that's pretty much our tale on how we got them. Next, I plan to make a video on how I got my first puppy. All thanks to having two kitties, which I'll explain more on that in the next video. If you're interested, then definitely subscribe if you likey.
It involves Smeagol the Beagle.
Oh, that's not my forever puppy's real name. She's too derpy sweet for that.
But it's creative and rhymes.
If you want to get another beagle that's a boy, you can name it that. I wouldn't mind another beagle. Can never have enough beagles. Yeah. Anyways.
Thank you for hearing us out today. Catch you around next time. Meow.
Ciao.